Hello guys, welcome to today's video. We are going to be working on solving a system of equations for the next couple of days. This is a topic that is repetitive. You do see it a lot in other math classes, so it is important to kind of build a very strong foundation in this. So let's go ahead and define what is a system of equations. So make sure that you're writing this down. Anything that I might say that is not written down that you think is important, you should write it down as well. Learn to be proactive note takers. So a system of equations is two or more equations that are related. In other words, they have the same variable. At this level of math, we're starting very basic with a very basic system, and we're going to focus specifically just on two equations. But later on, as you get into higher level maths, you could have more equations such as 3 or 4, but very common 3, but that's higher level maths. So one thing about a system of equation is that they have to have the same variables. They have to talk about the same x or the same y. And it could be other variables as well, but typically we're working with x and y. Another important thing to notice is that we're going to start with a very basic system of equations. We're going to start working with a linear system. A linear system is typically the system that looks like y equals mx plus b. So we're going to have two equations that are y equals mx plus b, or they're in standard form ax plus by equals c. So just keep that in mind that right now we're focusing mostly on linear systems. But in the future, you're going to be working with different type of systems that are not just linear. There are three methods to solve a linear system of equations. There is graphing, elimination, and substitution. Right now, we're going to focus on the graphing method. And all these methods come into play in higher level math. So that is why it is very important to be able to understand how to solve a system right now when we're learning it, when we're being introduced to it. So let's talk about the graphing method. So let's look at this first example right here. I have this graph. Notice that I have two equations and we are on the same x and y plane. This graph is an example of a one solution. So if I were you, I would copy down the graph. And I would emphasize that this graph has one solution because the lines intersect once. So maybe let's write that down. So here I put the notes on top of it because this is something that I think I said was important. Again, this is an example of how to take better notes than just the ones provided in the future. So this graph has one solution because the lines intersect once. And if you look at down here, it says the two lines share the point 0, 2, right here, 0, 2. Therefore, the solution is 0, 2. It is important to note that the solution is a coordinate. So we're going to write that down. So I went ahead and wrote that note down here. The solution is the intersection of the equations, which is a coordinate. So up here, 0, 2 is our coordinate. So here, this is one solution. Now let's look at the next one. Look at these two lines. They do not intersect. Because they do not intersect, this graph has no solution. The two lines are parallel, have the same slope and different y-intercepts, and will never share any points. Therefore, this second graph right here is an example of a no solution. And then let's talk about the last type of solution right over here. This graph right here, I don't know if you can tell, but these are two different lines, the yellow line and the red line, and they're both on top of each other. This graph, it has what we call infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. The two lines share every point infinitely because they are the same. They have the same slope and the same y-intercept. So this was a very basic introduction to graphing a system. Please make sure that you write this down in your notes, pause the video, rewind it if you have any questions, and move on to the next task. Good luck, guys.